Hey, welcome back, or welcome to the end, depending on how you want to frame it.
Which is honestly kind of perfect for this whole project. Because if this manuscript taught us anything, it's that an ending is rarely an ending. It's more like the next spiral loading in.
Exactly. You think the hourglass ran out, and then you realize somebody just flipped it over.
Back to step one, but not the same step one.
A higher altitude step one.
So high. I'm Jane.
And I'm Jordan, and this is our finale episode of The Architect of Life.
We've spent a long time inside this manuscript. Reading it, living it, fighting with it, laughing at it, getting called out by it, and yeah, getting rearranged by it.
And today we wanted to do something different. No guest, no lesson plan, no neat little framework breakdown.
Just us, talking with you, looking back at what this whole thing actually was.
We're going to structure it around what we're calling the 5 R's.
Recognition. Relatables. Remembrances. Relivings. And relationings.
Relationings is not a real word.
Neither are half the words in this book, Jordan. And somehow it still works.
That's true. Environmentistics.
Personalisms.
Metamatics.
The inversion kick.
It sounds like nonsense until it doesn't. And then you're like, wait, why does this describe my whole life?
All right. First, our recognition.
Recognition is that moment where you're reading and you suddenly stop and go, oh, that's me. That's been me.
Mine happened embarrassingly early. Chapter 3.
What was it?
The metamind idea. That there's a part of you watching you live your life. And then another part watching the watcher. And I realized I'd been living like an audience member in my own existence.
Like you had front row seats to your life, but didn't feel like you were on stage.
Exactly. And once you see that, it's hard to pretend you didn't.
Mine hit later, in the Roman numeral section, the whole position of one concept. Specifically when it contrasts R1V and AV1.
Say it in normal human language.
Basically, are you the center your life rotates around, or are you always rotating around somebody else's center? Are you responsive, or are you actually autonomous?
And
I had to admit I'd been R1V in way too many rooms. Relationships, jobs, friendships. I was always reacting, always adapting, always reflecting someone else's light.
the moon problem. The moon problem. What I appreciate, though, is the manuscript doesn't insult you for it. It doesn't do the thing some self-help does, where it's like, congrats, you're broken.
Yes, even when it gets diagnostic, it stays humane.
Like the presence orientation piece. It doesn't say, you're failing. It says, here's where drift happened. Here's how to reorient.
And it's built around those 4 branches: power, presence, purpose, proclivity.
We both took that and got emotionally attacked by the results.
I got the capable drifter, high power, low purpose, skills for days, direction, not so much.
I got the aware paralytic. Which sounds poetic until you realize it means sees everything, moves nowhere.
That one is brutal.
It's the worst. It's like being a very articulate mess. You can narrate your own collapse in real time.
But this is why recognition matters. It isn't just noticing a problem, it's seeing the architecture of the problem.
Those early chapters, from chapter 0 through the awakening and sensing and embodying phases, they hand you vocabulary for experiences you've had your whole life, but couldn't name.
And by the time you reach the end of that stretch, you're different. You can't unknow what you know.
You can't unsee the blueprint.
Okay. Second R. Relatables.
These are the moments that made you shut the book and text someone like, "Are you reading this? Because I feel exposed."
Or the moments where the manuscript is so absurd, you're like, did I hallucinate this chapter?
Let's just name the elephant in the room.
The IKEA chapter.
The IKEA chapter. For anyone who hasn't gotten there, you're reading a serious framework about emergence, the root square chart, synthesis operators, and then suddenly you're in a multi-scene, anime-style battle where the villain is an Allen wrench lord.
A full boss fight. Like there's basically a health bar.
Traveler's sanity is hanging on by a thread.
And the bookshelf becomes a party member when you finally find the missing piece.
It has character development. The shelf is like, I'm whole, for the first time.
And then, after all of that, you finish building it. And it's backwards.
And the traveler just accepts it. Like, you know what? This is my truth now.
But here's the thing. It's hilarious, yes. But it's also doing work.
It shows you persistence through chaos. How the 47th attempt is still part of the path.
And how the thing you think is your enemy becomes usable the moment you stop fighting its role. You stop calling it sabotage, and you start calling it feedback.
It's basically a metaphor for everything in your root square chart you've been at war with instead of learning how to collaborate with.
Also, the social media moment at the coffee shop, when the traveler finally puts the phone face down, like it's a sacred ritual.
And the book basically hands them an achievement badge for touching grass. Metaphorically.
And then, we have to talk about the emoji chapter.
We do. Because what do you even call that segment? It's like Hunger Games meets apartment hunting, and then halfway through it turns into emoji battle narration.
And it's wedged between genuinely dense sections about the mathematics of emergence and synthesis. The tonal whiplash is part of the design.
That's the point of the relatables. The manuscript refuses to let deep work become inhuman.
It's like it's saying, this is sacred. And also, yes, you will feel like a sleep-deprived person assembling furniture with 17 leftover screws and a growing suspicion that you are the problem.
And it says, that's okay. That's part of the process.
Third R, remembrances.
These are the lines that stayed. The ones you wrote in a notes app, or on your mirror, or you keep hearing in your head when you're about to repeat an old pattern.
Go first.
Mine is that napkin moment. Roman numeral section, chapter 2. The barista slides a napkin over and there are 4 words on it. Target. Truth. Totally. Title.
That still gives me chills.
Because the book frames it like those 4 pillars are the handlers of handlers. The room that contains all the other rooms.
Meaning, if you don't know what you're targeting, what you believe is true, what you're fully in, and what you're calling yourself, everything else becomes chaos.
And most of us never chose any of those consciously. We inherited them, absorbed them, borrowed them.
Mine is from Roman numeral 1, the anatomy of presence. The line about absence.
Say it.
It's essentially, every time you disappear, it's serving a purpose. You don't check out randomly. You check out to protect something.
That line is confrontational in the gentlest way.
Because I spent years trying to force myself into presence. Meditation, productivity systems, all that. And the manuscript's like, instead of breaking down the door, ask why the door is locked.
And then it gives you architecture, threshold, room, handler. Not just stop leaving, but understand the structure of your leaving.
Another remembrance for me is when the book introduces that AB over CD formula. It's like it's not just math. It's a pattern for transformation.
Iterators and delineators. What you bring, shaped by how it's shaped. And then when those relationships combine, something new emerges.
And then the root square chart gets introduced, and you realize the book is dead serious about the idea that you don't build the root directly.
You build the fruits. The leaves. The branches. You develop the atomic characteristics and the conditions. And the root shows up as a consequence.
Which is the total opposite of how most of us are trained. We try to force the outcome.
And the manuscript is like, stop yanking on the plant. Fix the soil.
Fourth R, relivings.
These are the chapters you had to return to. Because the first time you read them, you understood them with your brain, but not with your life.
For me, it was chapter 5, the terrain, environmentistics.
You skimmed it the first time.
Totally skimmed. I was like, yes, environment matters. And then months later, I left a job that was quietly wrecking me, and I reopened that chapter, and it hit like a truck.
Because it's not just clean your desk and light a candle. It's about wraps, the layers of systems and people and norms around you.
And winces, the subtle pain signals you've been brushing off like they're personality flaws.
And location, not just where you are physically, but what it costs you to keep being there.
I had been treating wince data like I was being dramatic. The book basically showed me I was ignoring a perfectly functional alarm system.
Mine was chapter 7. The recursive self. I went back after a big failure.
That chapter is medicine.
It reframes self-observation without shame. You learn to watch the loop without becoming the loop.
The noticing protocol. Catch yourself mid-pattern and choose differently.
The first time I read it, I thought it was a nice idea. The second time, I needed it, and it probably saved me from a full week of self-destruction.
And chapter 8, the spiral of becoming, is another one that changes on a reread.
Because you can understand growth isn't linear intellectually. But when you're stuck in a plateau, you feel like you're failing.
And then you reread it and the book is like, this plateau is integration. This is where the work is becoming stable.
Like, stop treating consolidation as a flaw.
And then there's part 3, chapter S, the dynamic root square. When it introduces the inversion kick.
Alternating between being the iterator and being the delineator.
Which is a fancy way of saying, sometimes you drive the practice, and sometimes you let the practice drive you.
It sounds simple until you try it. Because we're trained to always be the agent, always be in control. X over 1. Always pushing.
And the inversion kick asks you to flip it, 1 over X, to let the structure shape you for a while.
And it feels scary. Like if you're not pushing, you're failing.
But it's not failure. It's how you avoid burnout. It's how you deepen instead of just expanding.
Relivings are the chapters that meet you again, but at a different altitude.
5th R. Relationings.
Still not a word.
Still using it.
This is what the manuscript changed about how you show up with other people. And I didn't expect this one to hit as hard as it did.
Same. I noticed it in conflict first.
How?
Before, I'd argue on the surface. Words, tone, behaviors. Now I find myself quietly asking, what's the target in this conversation? What truth is each person standing on? Are we totally here? Or is someone half out the door? And what title is each of us trying to protect?
It turns disagreement into architecture.
Which sounds cold, but it's actually compassionate. Because you stop making it me versus you. You make it what room are we in right now and who built it?
And you start noticing the handlers. The underlying pillars the conversation is built on.
Roman numeral chapter 6, the 4DP as the handler of handlers, changed how I approach every hard conversation.
For me, the big shift was the meta-architecture idea. That your patterns ripple outward. You're not a closed system. You're a node that replicates.
So what you're carrying becomes what you spread.
Into relationships. Family. Work. Community. Every room you enter.
Which is either terrifying or motivating depending on your presence score.
Right. If your presence is low, you're like, oh no, I'm contagious.
But then there's the ripple practice, asking, what pattern am I replicating right now? And it makes you more deliberate.
More honest, too. Because you can't hide behind that's just how I am if you see the structure of how you're being.
And the position of one work reframed power dynamics for me. Not as manipulation, more like clarity.
You can see who is orbiting whom, and you can decide if that's healthy, if that's fair, if it needs to change.
The manuscript never lets the work stay private. It keeps asking, now that you can see it in yourself, what does it mean for everyone connected to you?
Because the architecture you build doesn't only house you.
It houses everyone who walks through your door.
So, this is the part where we say goodbye.
And we are not fully ready.
Nope. I've been mentally dodging this for days.
Let's just be honest then. In the spirit of the manuscript,
If you've been with us through this podcast, if you've read even a portion of this thing, some part of you already knew, before chapter 0, before the traveler took the first step, before the first napkin slid across the counter.
you already knew the life you were living wasn't quite the life you were meant for.
You felt there was something underneath the surface. Some hidden structure.
And now you have language for it.
You have the 4DP, target, truth, totally, title.
You have the 4 branches: power, presence, purpose, proclivity.
You have the 5-fold path, the force, the personalisms, the environmentistics, the recursive self, the spiral of becoming, the meta-architecture.
You have the root square chart: fruits, leaves, branches, and the root that emerges when the conditions are right.
You have the AB over CD formula. The iterators and delineators. The math of becoming.
You have that beautifully strange notation system, an alphabet of symbols that started as confusing and ended up feeling like a second language.
You have the operational flow, event atom all the way to comprehensive comprehension, so transformation isn't just inspirational, it's executable.
You have the inversion kick, the reminder to alternate, to drive, and also to be driven by the practice.
You have the Roman numeral chapters, the territory you revisit and realize you're not the same person entering it.
You have the anatomy of presence, so you understand not just that you leave, but why you leave.
You have living the architecture, that point where it stops being something you do and becomes something you are.
You also, somehow, have Gerald.
You do have Gerald. Our chaotic little interdimensional guide, whatever he actually is.
You have the Allen Wrench Lord, and the moment he turns into Allen, the friendly wrench, the second you stop treating him like a curse.
You have the backwards bookshelf that still holds. You have the leftover screws. You have the absurdity that makes the truth hit harder.
And you have the Traveler, the one who started out not knowing what they were looking for and ended up becoming the architect.
And now, that's you.
You're the Traveler now. The notebook is in your hands. The blank page is open.
And you don't have to discover the entire route before you start building fruits.
You don't have to know your full title before you start living more truthfully.
You don't have to be perfectly oriented to take the next step.
You just have to begin again. At the new altitude. With whatever you've already built holding you.
So from us, 2 people who came to this manuscript with our own drift, our own inherited titles, our own patterns of orbiting other people's centers.
2 people who have argued about the synthesis operator for an unreasonable amount of time.
2 people who still get emotional in the meta-architecture section.
2 people who will never trust IKEA instructions the same way again.
Thank you. For being here. For doing the work alongside us.
The architecture you're building matters.
Not just for you.
For everyone you touch.
Go build something beautiful.
We'll see you on the next spiral.
Take care of yourselves.
And take care of each other.